Good morning. Today I'm going to bike on the Silver Comet Trail. This is a multi-use trail that runs from the Atlanta area all the way to the state line with Alabama. And then in Alabama, it links up with the Chief Ladiga Trail, which goes further into Alabama. I'm planning to probably just go on the Silver Comet Trail. A little background. This was originally a railroad that carried passengers, and it was closed down many years ago and converted into what it is now. So it's a popular trail. You can read about it. I'm going to check it out and show you guys what it's like on video. I'm at about mile 18 on the Silver Comet. If you want to see what it looks like or what it feels like, it might be a little blurry in the videos, but so far, first 15 miles, this is pretty much what you see. If you take the connector from Smyrna Bicycles, the absolute farthest you can start, it's like Atlanta, more urban, but so far, since I've actually been on the trail, this is what I'm seeing. And it thins out, the crowds thin out the farther I'm going past Hiram. Now I'm hardly seeing any people. Hope it doesn't rain, but if it does, I'm prepared. So for you guys wondering if the Silver Comet Trail has changed, here I am at mile 35, and I would say not really. It's very green right now in the summer. Kind of has a little bit more of this like forested look. I've noticed that on the Pinati Trail over here in Alabama. Like kind of like a little more magical look or whatever you want to call it. Anyway, I'm near Rockmart in Georgia. That's the next town. Figuring out what to do. I think I already passed the big campground over here, and then a little further up is the next campground, actually the last campground until you get to Alabama. So I'm thinking I'm probably gonna go there. It's called Camp Comet. It's free. I got a tent with me, so I think that, stay tuned. Got out of downtown Rockmart and back on the Silver Comet Trail. If you want to get to Camp Comet, the last campground before Alabama, at least on the trail, it's about 7.5 miles from downtown Rockmart, which is a decent distance. Also, a lot more hills over here. It's not as flat or downslope as the way over here. So, I stopped to get something to eat. And, usually you want to wait like an hour or two after eating before physical exercise. So I'm kind of wishing I didn't stop in Rockmart, but, well, props to Hometown Pizza. It was a good meal. A lot of steeper inclines over here. I'm going to Cedartown. Oh, is that a purple eagle? So I went to Camp Comet, and there was like one tent there, and there were no guys there at the time. They looked like they're on a fishing trip. It was a big tent. But that was it. It's not like fenced in. There's no attendant, no gatehouse or nothing. So I'm just going to bike another few miles to Cedartown, and I'm going to get lodging there in like a motel probably. So, that'll be it for today. So I'll be close to the border anyway. Good morning. I'm back on the Silver Comet Trail, headed towards the state line with Alabama, and that's where the trail terminates. It becomes the Chief Ladiga Trail that goes some ways into Alabama. I am not going to be doing that. So my goal today is to get to the state line where the Silver Comet Trail terminates, and then to make my way back. Here we are. A lot of the same things. So one thing I can say is, you know, what I realized, like this rail trail and the one in Chattanooga I was on last week, you know, they originally were railroad tracks, and maybe that's why there's a lot of like industrial areas around them. Well, actually the Silver Comet Trail was a passenger train. But anyway, you know, it's somewhat scenic around when you get close to Alabama, but you know, the rest of it you're just kind of looking at this. So if that's something that interests you, then you know it's not extremely scenic in that way. But anyway, here I go. Okay, this is it. Saturday morning, made it to the end of the Silver Comet, and here's what it looks like, because this is where the Chief Ladiga Trail going into Alabama starts. So you get here, welcome to Alabama, and that's as far as I'm going to go into Alabama, and I'm gonna go back into Georgia. So last part of the trail is kind of remote. As you can see, there's nobody here. I saw a couple bikers this morning coming back from this way, but that's it. So, well, it's not a round trip, so I got quite a distance to the Atlanta area. I'll see if I can make it today. Alright, so the Silver Comet Trail. So here's what I want to say about it. If you're looking for a bike tour with lots of exotic scenery, it doesn't really have it. It follows the old railroad line, so you're just staying on one road. There's a lot of trees. Some of it's kind of nice, like areas where it looks like almost tropical, or it's very green. When you get close to Alabama, you're seeing some farmland, some rolling hills, things like that. But overall, there's not too much to see. So if you're looking for a bike tour like that, go somewhere else. But here's a big plus about it. It's very relaxing in the sense that you it's well marked, and you don't have to think that much about where you're going. You don't really have to access any maps. And also there's mile markers all the time, so you get an idea how far you've been, how much more you want to go. There's constant signs telling you where the trailheads are. When you get close to Rockmart or Hiram, there's signs telling you where there will be stores and drinks and things like that, restaurants. So it's very convenient in that sense. It could be a little boring too, because it's or you could say you could just zone out. There were times like that too. Just put on some music and just relax. So it's good in that sense. It's flat mostly, except for maybe the last 20 miles. There's some hills there where I was on a fixed gear bike and I had to walk up my bike. As far as wearing a helmet, I didn't think I would need to do that. But if you're in some of the more remote areas and you're going to see deer jumping out at you, you'll understand why the helmet will be useful for that reason. Like if you're going downhill, coasting, you're going at a high speed, it's very possible a deer will just jump out in front of you, and it's good to have a helmet then. And let's talk about the accommodations. So there is the Rock RV campground. I didn't think of going there because it was didn't match up with my itinerary. I have heard that's like a real full-scale campground for RVs, and it has even cabins, I think, showers, bathrooms. So that didn't work for me in that sense. So the only other campground along the way to Alabama was Camp Comet. So I stopped there, and I should have taken some videos of it, but it's basically just like a patch of land that has some clearings for camping, and there's no fence, there's no gatehouse, there's nobody working there. It is completely free. So the thing was, I'm traveling by myself and with my bike and nothing else, and I went there, and there's one tent, a big tent. Looked like guys who were on a fishing trip, because I saw fishing poles. They weren't there. It was getting late in the day, so I didn't get a chance to meet them, and I just didn't feel comfortable camping there by myself in that kind of situation. So I decided instead to go to Cedartown, where there's some like budget motels there. And I stayed at the Econo Lodge, which was pretty good, and they had a little discount for Silver Comet riders. Maybe it was a little, if I had booked online, it would have been even less. Watch out for things like that. Kind of got the feeling like some of the businesses catering to the bikers maybe try to upcharge you a little bit. So if you go somewhere that maybe doesn't have the signs for bikers, might be a little less for things. So that's what I have to say about the Silver Comet. Definitely enjoyed it. Had a good time. It was worth it. And I think that's about it. I can't think of anything else to say. The weather held up. And I asked at the bike rental place, I'm like, what do you think about having a fixed gear bike versus a bike with gear shifts? And they said definitely having the gear shift is better. So, yeah, I was able to do it on the fixed gear bike though. So that's just some information out there. Yeah, my legs were kind of sore the next day, but I was able to do it. It wasn't too hard. Anyway, so that's it. Take care. Till the next video.